Something for Kate are back with a brand new album. It is out now. The first album since Leave Your Soul to Science. It is The Modern Medieval. I got Paul Dempsey. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's been a long time coming, but it's finally out there. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It is very nice to finally have it out there. We've been, it's been finished for a while, and there was a lot of uncertainty earlier in the year about when we might be able to get it out there. So it's just a really good feeling now that people can hear the whole thing.
And all this started kind of last year, didn't it? So long before COVID or anything else. And you were recording in Byron Bay, is that right? So Nick DiDio was the producer.
Yeah, that's right. We recorded in Byron Bay in August with Nick DiDio, and then we brought it home for the month of September, and we spent a bit more time in this very room that I'm in now, kind of tinkering and adding bits. And then in October, we went off to Canada and we mixed it over there with a guy called Howie Beck. And then we came back to Australia and it was mastered almost exactly a year ago in Perth. So it was quite a all over the place kind of process. And it's almost exactly a year ago that we actually sort of put the finishing touch on it.
And I think that it could have even taken longer. I mean, I'm sure, you get people recommending different strategies, and particularly with lockdowns and whatever, and they were maybe saying to you, just wait a bit longer,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, no one knew, and I guess still no one knows how long this thing is going to be around, or when things might return to normal. So it was always a gamble. Put it out earlier in the year, and maybe you'll get to tour later in the year. But then there were all these other questions about, well, can the vinyl pressing plants even get the record, pressed up and shipped? The whole thing was just chaotic. So again, it's a relief just to sort of have all the pieces in place, and here it is.
It's funny. Yeah, vinyl's become a crucial final piece in the puzzle for a lot of people. I know a few bands recently that haven't been streaming that well, in the rankings, but the vinyl figures last minute have got them a number one album. And so, yeah, it's really important now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I also just think for our specific audience, our audience seem to be really keen on collecting every part of the catalogue, and they seem to all be sort of, completists in terms of, making sure they have a physical copy. And we also, I mean, Steph does our album artwork, and she puts a lot into that. And I think that's also a really important part of it. I think it's really nice if you can listen to the record whilst looking at the artwork that Steph's created.
Yeah. I love that. And it's when you think back to, when you're a teenager and some of the albums, you always remember the artwork. You remember the notes and, the illustrations and I mean, so I love how there's still an art form and it's still a major part of releasing music in 2020. Who would have thought?
For sure. Yeah. I'm really glad that people are, embracing vinyl as much as they are, because, as I say, it is really part of the experience when you can, hold the cover in your hand and read all the. I always got really excited about reading every last detail, and even reading the thank yous. Like, who are they thanking? Like,
it's so true.
The other thing too is it was always for us as a band early on in our career, it's also how we chose the producers that we wanted to work with on our albums, because you'd hear a great sounding record and be like, oh wow, who recorded this or who mixed this? And you'd go straight to the credits and find out who did it and what studio they did it in. And unfortunately with the streaming platforms, you just don't get any of that information. So you hear a great record and it's like, well, I guess I'll try Googling it. And then there's nothing there either, because it's anyway, yeah.
If only Shazam would do that. When you hold your phone up at the pub and you
Exactly.
We need that. So you recorded it in Byron Bay. Is this Bernard and Pete Murray's sort of studio they're sharing? Is that the one?
It's I think Pete Murray does have a studio of his own up there, but
Yeah.
he doesn't share with Bernard. This is Bernard co-owns this studio with Nick Didia,
Right.
the
Yeah.
producer who we worked with on this record, and Nick also produced a few Powderfinger records. So yeah, this Bernard and Nick's studio. It's called La Cueva, which is Spanish, I believe, for the cave.
And you dragged Bernard in for one of the songs. This is I only found out today. It's crazy.
Kicking and screaming, dragged him in. Get in front of the microphone, buddy. Yeah, no, there was a song on the record that I had always kind of envisaged would be best with two different singers instead of me singing the whole thing, because there's two really distinct characters in the song. And so the whole time that writing the song and doing our demos and stuff, I was like, yeah, got to get someone else to sing this part. And didn't kind of stupidly didn't even think about it until I was like driving to the studio, that like, well, Bernard's right there, and like can't believe it didn't occur to me earlier. And it works really well, because in the song it's like the parts I sing are this kind of ranting, paranoid, crazy guy. And then when the chorus comes in, this other voice comes in is like the voice of reason, and they're supposed to be really kind of soothing and calming. And it's like, well, God, who has the most recognizable voice in Australia that automatically makes everyone feel like calm and soothed and like, yeah, I know this. And so it worked on a number of levels.
So damn true. Now I want to talk about the Situation Room clip, because I remember watching it for the first time months ago. So this would have been back in April or May, and I'm like, are they in LA?
Yeah.
How did they do that? And I assumed it was back end of last year, but as it turns out, it wasn't. You had a bit of an exercise to record that clip. How'd you do it?
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. We were all like, everything was booked in and set up for us to shoot the video in LA and around LA in the first few days of March. So the director over there, the film crew, the whole lot, it was all ready, and we were due to fly in on the 3rd of March, I think. And of course, that was right when the pandemic, or wasn't yet a pandemic, but cases were starting to appear in different parts of the world. And I think it was like, I don't know, there weren't any reported cases in Los Angeles yet at that time, and there was no travel restrictions, there was no quarantine, there was like none of that had happened yet. I think at that point in time there were only a few cases in an aged care facility in Northern California. So we knew it was going to get bad, and we just didn't know whether to go or not. And we ummed and ahed and changed our minds. We cancelled the flights and then rebooked the flights, and then instead of all three of us going, then it was just me. I was like, okay, I'll just go, and keep it really simple. And then Clint was like, well, if you're going, I'm coming with you. Yeah. So Clint and I we started shooting the video, and when we got there, it was like everything was pretty normal, that nothing had really changed yet. And so, Steph got on the phone and she was like, well, I'm coming. And so she, the next day, flew over. She landed, she got in a car, she drove straight out to the Joshua Tree National Park, and we filmed a bunch of stuff, and then we all got on a plane the next night, and we were home, and it was done. And we got home, and because we didn't know what was going on, we just self-quarantined and didn't go out and stayed at home anyway, and just thought that was the safest thing to do. And then, of course, a few weeks later, it all really kind of started to get bad.
Well, you watched the clip, and you obviously at the time had no idea what was coming either. So I was looking at, taking note of all these places you're going to around Joshua Tree. It looked beautiful, but unfortunately we won't be going back there for a while.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
No. Well, Paul, congratulations again. The album is out. The Modern Medieval from Something for Kate, and go and get it now and get the vinyl as well. Paul Dempsey, great to catch up with you.
Yeah, likewise.